Well, as a coal miner's daughter, it is only fitting that I should introduce the coal miner's son, who rose to become president of the mine workers and then topped that off by becoming president of the AFL-CIO, Rich Trumka. He was co-chair of the committee which created the alliance, and we thank him for being such a strong supporter of the alliance and of retirees all across the country. I thank you, Rich, for appearing at so many Alliance rallies throughout the years. In your strong speeches, you've always been very passionate, inspiring, and you've reminded us of the power of grassroots activism.
And let me start off by saying happy anniversary. Doesn't seem like it's been 10 years. It's going very, very quickly. It may be that all the fights of the past decade will turn out to be a preamble for the battles that are about to come. And no matter what, I promise you this, we'll stand together, shoulder to shoulder for good jobs, for retirement security, and for health care. We will be there as one always, I promise you that. Most of all, though, I want to recognize each one of you, because Alliance members have been an incredible source of activism. You don't have to look any farther than this year in Wisconsin to see what a true difference that each one of you make. You've also been in the thick of it with SB 5 in Ohio and the fights to save Social Security and Medicare all across this country. See, every major advance of the last decade really bears your fingerprints on it. You fought hard for good prescription drug law in 2003. You moved right into the successful fight against privatizing Social Security. Doesn't it get sort of tiring? I mean, they've been trying to privatize and get rid of Social Security since 1935. They can't stand success, even though it stands up and bites them squarely in the butt. They want to get rid of it, and I promise you something, it is not going to happen. Never. And then we had this guy that from Texas that was president, and I think they called him W, and you sort of ended his legislative run with all you did. And then in 2007 and 2008, you supported health care reform, and quite frankly, your work was crucial to the passage of the Affordable Health Care Act. And it's a good start. It's not the end, it's not everything we wanted, but it got us started in the right direction and actually gives us a chance to reach our goal of quality health care for every American, regardless of where you live, where you worship, or what you look like. And let me thank you for this year, because you made sure that the attacks against Social Security and Medicare were in the public eye, so our worst politicians couldn't be silent killers of our most successful family protection program. And all of this time, your strength has really come from the grassroots. You took those bus trips to Canada to buy prescription drugs. You held knit-ins outside congressional offices to defend Medicare. Let me just say this to you. You're a real political force. You're a powerful force, very powerful force. And we're honored, pleasantly surprised, and happy to be alongside you. And when those politicians come out of the super committee, when they come after us, you'll be ready, and we'll be ready, and we'll stand side by side united. We're not going to let anybody, and I mean anybody, cut Social Security and Medicare benefits. I don't care who proposes it. We're against it, and we'll stop it. You see, brothers and sisters, the Alliance for Retired Americans is far more than an advocate for seniors. This organization is a powerful ally of all working people. You're a movement builder. And I think your power comes from three separate things: your credibility and connections in your communities, your experience as activists, who have weathered career of political storms, and the passion that lies deep within you, right here. No one can give you that. It's what you come with. See, it's a passion that motivates you day after day, year after year, to put yourself out there to fight to make America what it should be, what it can be, and what we need it to be, what it must be for generations and generations to come. And for that, I salute you. On behalf of every last member of the AFL-CIO and the American labor movement, we salute you for taking on yet one more fight and being there for working people. See, your role is only going to grow more important in the years to come. I think we all know about the retirement boom underway today. The oldest baby boomers turned 65 this year. And for the next 19 years, more than 10,000 people will hit that age every single day, eventually swelling the over 65 population to more than 72 million people. Now, do you think those 72 million people are going to have any political power in this country? Well, I sort of think so. I think that's a voice that even the deaf will be able to hear. And let me tell you, there's only one organization that will unite them with America's labor movement, and that's the Alliance for Retired Americans. Because every year, for the next 2 decades, the voting power of seniors and retirees will increase. But which way is the question? Which way will America's seniors go? Friends, I got to tell you, it won't be easy. The signals really aren't good right now. The only age group that President Obama lost in 2008 was the 65-plus age group. In that election, the older you are, the more likely you were to vote for Republicans. In the congressional elections across the country last year, in gubernatorial elections in Virginia and New Jersey, and in the special election to fill Senator Ted Kennedy's seat in Massachusetts, seniors as a whole voted for Republican candidates by margins well into the double digits. Now, we've got to be honest about this. Too many seniors bought candidate McCain's argument that Barack Obama was too young, too inexperienced, loved workers too much, cared too much about working people and not enough about Wall Street. They bought into that. You see, if working families lose political solidarity with seniors and retirees, we can't hope to win national elections for working people. I'll be frank, it's time for the Alliance to move far beyond our union retirees, to reach your friends, to reach your neighbors who are watching too much Fox TV and who aren't getting any information except scare tactics from the Tea Party wing of the right. And I know that you're ready to do it. Your community outreach is one of the best ways to educate others about the real political investments in today's retirees and the interests of today's retirees. And quite frankly, about the labor movement too. Now, some people call the labor movement the folks who brought you the weekend. But most people don't know also that the labor movement are the folks who brought you retirement and retirement security. And they need to know that. They should know that the labor movement helped create health coverage, pensions, Social Security, Medicare, and so much more. We were on the front lines of that fight, fighting for every last American, whether they were union or not. And no one can explain that better than you, what a union voice on the job means in a worker's life. What a voice on the job means to a worker's retirement. Because just a few generations ago, you remember the phrase, too old to work, too young to die? Well, that had real meaning. And I got to tell you, there's a whole group of them up on that hill that would like to bring that saying back and take away pensions and security that we have, and Social Security and Medicare. They'd love to do that. But I could tell you, we're not going back to the days when hunger dogged old age. We're not going back to the days when old age led to poverty, when people couldn't survive and they were thrown into places called the poorhouse. And if your family wouldn't stand up for you, you were tossed aside like yesterday's newspaper. Well, I'll tell you something. They're not going to toss our seniors aside, not as long as we have an ounce of warm breath in our bodies. We're going to fight to make sure that they don't get their way and go back to the old days and take away our dignity and our security. You see, you have to tell them your story. You have to tell them your story of how you struggled and how you sacrificed and how you fought to get pensions and a better way of life for this generation and the next generation. You have to tell your story about winning dignity and winning respect. That's what we need to do. And it's going to take a lot of long days, a lot of hoarse voices, a lot of tired legs, and a lot of cold hands for us to hold politicians accountable this year and next and over the years to come. But I think we're ready. We're building an independent labor movement that'll be strong enough to push for action that's on the scale of the crisis in America today. We're going to build a political mandate for good jobs for the 26 million Americans who need full-time work, for a voice on the job for every worker, public and private worker, and for the American dream that we want and that we need and that we deserve for our children and our grandchildren, as well as our